Good morning, afternoon rather. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday wherever you are on the globe. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. To those of you who staying in, to the passerbyers, may you be well. But those of you who are coming in, welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Hope y'all doing all right. If you are of the light. Ooh, I rhymed. Hope y'all doing all right if you're of the light. And what do I mean by that type of a phrase? I simply mean people who operate from benevolence, love and light energy, truly decent folks, giving it all they have every day of their life to transform and become the best versions of themselves, dealing with their own shit from the inside out so that they can actually become legit. I'm rhyming. Somebody says, bless Sunday to you. Thank you so much. Likewise, back at you. So I wanted to hopefully get y'all to engage if you feel guided and comfortable, of course. Okay, no pressure here. I don't have a billy club in my hand, okay, going about beating folks, all right, over the head saying you must do this. This is for those of you who are feeling comfortable, open, of course, and guided. Now, in the title, as you guys are coming in, I think I put something along the lines of they ask you, have you tried ... They ask you, have you tried ... Okay, and I want to add a disclaimer to this. There is always exceptions to virtually everything. So just keep that in mind. This is applying to what it applies to. Have you guys ever had situations in your life, and I'm sure you have if you're up there in age especially, where you did try ... the things that people ask you. You go to the counselor's office, you go to the clergy's office, you go to the Reiki center office, you go to family member so-and-so or whatever, okay? Just throwing all these things out there. And they ask you ... have you tried ... Chances are is yes. They're asking you, have you tried to resolve situations with people? Have you tried to talk to individuals? Have you tried to go to the individuals that there was issues with? Now, people ask that question, and it's fair. It's a fair question, but for many of you, if you've dealt with severe narcissistic abuse or in your lifespan, starting with your own kinfolks to close connections, relationships, bosses, coworkers, or whatever, chances are before it got to a certain level, you actually did. Unfortunately, the thing about abuse and toxicity and when people aren't well is there's going to be a whole lot of gaslighting, a whole lot of game playing, a whole lot of denying. This is why I feel like in 2022 at the tail end, a lot is changing and people are a little bit agitated about it. But it's because it's gotten to, you know how when something gets to that final level where it's like, okay, people have tried all these more kosher approaches. People have tried the approaches of the old schoolers. I'm an old schooler myself, so I certainly can resonate with old school mentalities where it's you go directly to the person, whoop-de-whoop. You know what I'm saying? It's none of this passive aggressive behind the cuff. You just go in their face. You be like, boom, bitch, or on the telephone in their face, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. You go to them and go, hey, whoop-de-whoop, you present. That's old school, right? But we're not dealing with the society as we know it now. What it's become, even older people. So it's not that it's just, the youngsters. No, it's the society, what it's become. Okay, and for people who have not continued on a life of healing and transformation of their own, So there's been a lot of deception, a lot of undiagnosed serious mental illness. I'm not talking about how we all struggle. I'm not talking about the way humanity all struggle because they've experienced this and that. I'm talking about, when we're crossing over into those other places, psychopath, sociopathic energy, malignant narcissism and stuff like that. Wow, we got down to one. I love it because I know what that's proven. But so the discussion I'm inviting you all to have with me or with yourself at some point. People always ask this, have you tried? And I can attest from my own personal experience. Before things got to a certain level, there was numerous attempts. And what toxic people end up doing with that is they end up making it worse. How so? Because if you try to approach a narcissist or someone that's in a toxic energy, first and foremost, they're going to gaslight you, okay? You're not about to have an adult healthy exchange. That's just not about to happen. They're going to gaslight you, okay? So there's going to be no resolve. Then they're going to take what you said in this conversation in an attempt to try to remedy something because you're trying to be an old schooler. You're trying to go directly to someone and say, hey, either this bothered me or I felt like this or what did you mean? Whatever the situation is, they're going to take that you attempted to do in the name of resolving. And then they're going to go about and spread all sorts of distortions about that to other people. And since other people are not there themselves to fully be a participant or to see for themselves, depending on who they are and how good of a manipulator that person is, they're going to just kind of automatically believe it. So I can imagine those of you out there at some point, because I will upload this onto my YouTube. I could imagine that the frustration that you feel because everybody, you try when you're in the beginning phases of trying to make sense of things, you go to several people. And they're assuming that you haven't already tried to talk to the individuals. They're assuming that you have not already tried to resolve. They're assuming that you haven't already tried to articulately, the best you can, in layman's terms, communicate something. Okay? And this is what I want to say. In my esteem, I'm like, well, I'm an old schooler, but shit ain't done like that no more. There's a whole lot of narcissistic energy that's rampant and a lot of deception. So the old schooler way is legit. But when you're dealing with a person on the other side of that thing that's first and foremost hell bent on not understanding you, hell bent on trying to twist things or create chaos and conflict, you're essentially wasting your time. It's going to frustrate you, and then they're actually going to use that against you. This is why in behavioral health and mental health industries, when clients go to them and they explain certain situations, they get guidance to go no contact when no contact is possible. Okay, because situations are different, but when it's possible, they're guided to go no contact, to take back their power and control, but to not get entangled in the game. Because every time you attempt to sit down and talk to somebody that's that way, they're going to take that and twist that to those that are not a part of it, to those that may be asleep themselves, to those that may not have knowledge and understanding or discernment about things, and automatically run with it. And it becomes harder to do when you cut them off, doesn't it? It becomes harder to do when you decide, when they tell you no contact, when you decide, I'm going to pull it back. Because now they're not going to be able to continue to, go about saying, I mean, they're probably still going to lie, but it's just going to be harder, because if you're removing yourself, it's harder and harder to, create like, okay, I talked to them, they came to me, they wooty wooty woot. When people have been gaslit and triangulated for a very long time, it's because, listen, they have tried the kosher way first. They have tried the old school way first. They have tried the go directly to the person first approach. And if it gets to the max level, it's because what I just said. You guys heard of the phone tree? I think it's called the phone game or the phone tree game. I may not be saying it properly, but essentially it's like this. Toxic people do this. If you talk to them on a telephone, okay, or in person, whatever, however it works, you talk to them, boom, bitch, okay, whoa, okay. Now, they're going to go about creating scenarios with maybe 5 to 10% truth in what they're saying to all these other individuals, and then so forth and so on. Y'all see how this goes? There's nothing being resolved. In fact, it's becoming more and more chaotic, more and more toxic, more and more assumptions are in there. So what did it really serve? Attempting to talk to the person directly. It didn't serve anything but fuel for them to use, first and foremost, to try to get in your head and to continue to do more gaslighting. Okay? But then to use what you did in sincerity in the name of, look, let's deal with this. You got, you stealing from me, motherfucker? Like whatever the situation is, do you know of wooty woo? You know what I'm saying? Are you aware? Like trying to approach them, they're hell bent on lying to you. Think about this. The old school approach only works when there's relatively healthy people in the whole scenario. I'm going to keep it on the 100. Relatively sound or balanced folks. But this is not going to work in the case of dealing with narcissistic abuse. In the case of, whether they have a diagnosis or not. In the case of dealing with someone that is actually psychotic or sociopathic. That kind of approach is not going to work. In the case of dealing with those who dabble in, weird things. And when I say weird, I'm not talking about the eccentricities of us. I'm talking about people, they know who they are, okay? And they willfully and intentionally participate in doing harmful, toxic things to others for their own personal gain. Okay? So you're not about to have this healthy, old school, straight up, transparent, woo-de-woo. It ain't going like that. In fact, it's only going to get worse. So I want to add some disclaimers to people like, I'm all for old school. I wish, things were really that simplistic and that the majority of humans we're dealing with had the capacity to legit operate like that, but that's not the truth. Most of us have gotten, severely hurt, tied up, caught up because we thought we can be old school. We thought we can, if we were sincere in our heart, that we can go to Joe Schmo and Josephine Schmo and say, hey, something ain't right, whoop, this and that. Did you know about this? Are you talking behind my back? Do you know? Like, ideally, and people would go, you know what, yeah, whoop, but most people are cowards and they're hell-bent on being deceptive. So when you approach them, they're not going to say, oh, yeah, sure, Sally Sue. Yeah, I sure did. I certainly lied and was talking behind your back. Who fenced? Just come on, think about that. But we go through those processes in the name of trying to what? I did this too, so I can relate. In the name of saying, okay, I'm going to give everybody a shot before this thing get real ugly. I'm going to give everybody their fair shot. They are going to have a shot to be real with me. But people who are hell-bent on not being real, do you see where I'm going, collective? Sorry, I think it's glitching here. Bummer. Anyway, but y'all know what I'm saying. If you look at your own life in retrospect, and if you look at certain situations and circumstances and dynamics with people, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. You'll see it for yourself. You won't even have to take my own personal word or anyone else's word. You'll see it. Where you yourself tried, right? Sorry. Where you yourself, whoever sent a like, thank you. It's a little bit stalling and lagging, so I'm sorry if it's like you guys are either clicking or saying something, because on my side it's like lagging out. But you yourself, you'll look back and go, wait, I remember I did. And then, like, in retrospect, hindsight being 2020, the person or people, whoever it was, you come to realize that they still lied to you in your face. They took your kindness for weakness, or you see what I'm saying? They still wanted to play more games. They still tried to, sow seeds of doubt instead of actually wanting to air things out. People don't want to air things out anymore, collective. Old schoolers, see, people of the old school way, that's how they were taught, and that's, what they have respect for. But people don't want to air things out anymore. People want to be fake. People want to have appearance of being woke, of being good, of being pure, of being legit without having to be that. They don't want to air shit out. They want to put shit under the rug. So when you try to individually go approach these people, you're not going to get a resolve. Someone here on TikTok created I don't know the person personally, but they created, I think I did a duet, a video that was basically explaining or saying what I'm saying in a short way. Like, people get upset when they shit get in the public display. And then she made a statement about how all of a sudden now they care. And she said, no, you don't care. They just upset because now everybody know what they've done. Because chances are these people have tried to resolve things with these folks behind the scene for a long time. And they don't respond to that. They use that as a way to continue to strategize fuckery. This is why I tell people, you don't have to tell sociopaths, psychopaths, or narcissists nothing. You're not obligated to divulge truths, because they use this stuff as weaponry. They use this stuff as a way to plan. So you're trying to be out the sincerity of your heart, wanting understanding and resolve, wanting to clear the air, wanting to, woo-de-woo. They're using this as a way to cast their next spell. They're using this as a way of how they're going to try to strategize and connive. Okay, they use that information to try to get ahead of the game where you were going in to try to bring true healing and resolve. They're using it for fuckery. Because these individuals, those types, do not have any true sincere intention for any kind of real healing. They only like to pretend healed. But they have no desire, family dynamics, friendships, whatever. This is how folks, you can start to tell who's who, what's what. It's very simple. People with a legit, sincere heart and that desires, we can talk all that jazz we want, but if we have a legit, sincere heart and true desire for healing or change in a situation, whether this is friends, family, whatever it is, there's going to be some things you're going to see that's going to prove that. It's not a bunch of talk. It's not what, just somebody in a counselor's office or across the prayer lady's desk or at a Reiki center. You're going to see something. And if it's not there, that should be your answer. Simple as that this individual have really no real interest in healing. They have an interest in continuing their fuckery. Okay. They could possibly be trying to get empathy and sympathy from folks, stall tactics, one thing and another, but they have no true desire. They never did. And the sooner we can accept that, we'll get ourselves out of the land of crazy land, not candy land, crazy land. Because the more we go round for round thinking that we can resolve, you cannot resolve something with a psychotic. When they have determined to call judgment in their disillusionment, when they are determined to bring chaos and conflict, when they are determined that they have made up their mind to be deceptive, you're not about to articulate your way with these types of individuals. You're not going to nicety your way. Collective, if you're anything like me, you done all that over time. You're not about to nicety your way, buy them cakes, bitch, snacks, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, compliments. Like none of this shit, they're hell bent on being fucked up, and they gonna stay fucked up. The sooner we accept this, the sooner we're able to move on. I'm not saying it's not hurtful. I'm not saying it's not unfortunate. I'm simply saying you'll be able to move on and not be exhausting yourself thinking that if you communicate a certain way, not with these types, thinking that if you show them love enough, nope, these people take kindness for weakness and they capitalize on that. They do not take it the way you think they're taking it. They look at you like transactional, whether they're telling you this or not. So you can love them and sacrifice yourself, and they gonna still be fucked up in the end. So you have to question you have to question yourself. So then, what was it worth? You call yourself being honest and fair to them, and then they turn around and try to get you jumped. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, we're not obligated. We need to use wisdom. We're not obligated to spill the beans to people we've already suspected and have had experiences with them that points towards possible that they're psychotic or sociopathic in nature or a narcissist. These types of individuals you don't owe some kind of, this is kind of stuff we do with the healthy folks. Like, let's say you have healthy situations and you got to do a breakup, right? And a healthy situation with the breakup, when you're dealing with two relatively healthy people, I didn't say perfect, I just said relatively healthy. Okay? You can, in these scenarios, people that operate from divinity or benevolence, you can offer that in the name of honor. Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to woo-dee-woo. I'm going to da-da-da. And, maybe upset, maybe a few tears, bitch. Whatever, right? Couple of words, whoop, whoop, boom, boom, okay? But then a week later, 2 weeks, people go on. They still may be struggling behind the scene, but it's acceptance, right? But if you try to break up with a toxic and you call yourself, it's like, man, if I be nice and if I say the parting speech, we all have a parting speech that we would like to use. If I say, it's not you, it's me. You know what I'm saying? You're wonderful. Like all of the things you think would make someone feel better. Okay, it's not you, it's me. I'm just, woo, I really am no longer happy in this situation. I feel like it's best. Like all the nice ways of doing shit. I really want to go different direction in life. I'm planning to just get my shit together and I really want to woo-de-woo. You spill all this to a toxic, they're going to sabotage you on every side. They're going to attempt to. And depending on the level of toxicity, like I said, some of us have gotten harmed behind trying to be honest to toxic people that use it as weaponry and to make plans and strategies to do harm to people if they're not getting their way. So the next time, because we have a lot out there and I'm sure it can be confusing and frustrating, but don't allow that to push you into some kind of corner or to make you feel some kind of way. You know what your life has been. You know what you have dealt with. You know the type of people you've dealt with, and you know the types of shit that has gone on. You know this better than me or anyone else on any given platform. Those that have actually dealt up close and personal with a lot of narcissistic energy know full well what they're dealing with, whether people outside of them can see it, understand it, and grasp it or not. And you don't have to exhaust yourself trying to get others. I've been down that path. That's a waste of time as well. Because all this is going to be used against you in the wrong way when you were simply trying to, tell your side, trying to clear the air, trying to seek, healing and all that. And people who don't have the capacity, they just don't. They're going to use all your conversations as weaponry, and chances are they're going to botch that up 75%. In situations dealing with toxics, you know what I'm saying? It's in my opinion that the only way is, I call it in bulk. Because it's challenging to be manipulative in bulk. People still are, but it's harder because they have to keep up with, all of the lies that they have told to each individual prospective person. And if you have everybody in a room at one time or on a phone at one time, or it's harder to do. All the people that were involved, it's harder. And guess what? They're usually going to buck that. They're going to give you every excuse under the sun as to why they feel like that's a bad idea, as to why they don't want to do that, as they're going to give you everything, and it may sound good, but the truth is it's because they don't want healing. The truth is they don't want to come clean. The truth is they don't want to be exposed. The truth is they don't want to change. So these are little tests that I be telling you all about. Like, okay, if you want to know, there's so many ways you can get here. Because people can talk a good game. And it can sound good across the therapist table. And it sound good across the prayer lady's desk. And it sound good across the Reiki center's office. can talk a good game. But a real test is the players that are involved, if they're still living. The players that are involved, let's bring them in. No one want to do that. Eureka, why is this? Yes, this is where you're going to see all that other energy. Well, because, you don't want resolve. You just want someone to agree with you. Yes? Collective, you all could have been seeking resolve for years. Not understanding what the problem was. What the fuck was their problem? But it's not your job. Okay, something I've learned, like you're not gonna come to a place of understanding a sociopath and a psychopath. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna make sense. It just is what it is. It's people's own inner pain, problems, issues that they pretend aren't there. And over time, gets worse depending on what they decide to involve themselves with over time. Simple as that. Issues don't just magically, people think issues magically go away over time. Not true. Time, just because time went by don't mean nothing. Chances are people have just found band-aids in their lives. They've chased one high after the next, one accomplishment after the next, one external thing after the next. But if it was never dealt with, honey, it's still there. Getting a new house and car is not going to change it. This is what people do not seem to understand. It's still there. And it's going to be there until people deal. And it's progressive. Narcissism is progressive. These things are progressive. They don't get better with time. They get worse. So to try to have an old school conversation with these types of people and to try to just go straight to the source with these types of people that are hell-bent on being toxic and will use word salad and everything you say and attempt to do to resolve things against you is a waste of time. These types you have to cut off and, if necessary, depending on what the situation is, expose. Whether people believe you or not. Because a part of the reason why a lot of this stuff has worked in these situations for so very long is because everybody was either too afraid or the conditionings in which we were all taught, we're just going to let it go. And, they're going to get their karma. True, fair enough to a degree. But still. Until people start speaking up like any other cause on this earth, until people start speaking up and speaking out and speaking truth, this is how these illusions continue to be further perpetuated. This has been a part of the problem. People knowing things, but sitting somewhere in corners in silence and not saying anything. Because, nobody's going to believe me, and this is why you got to get to the level of the frequency of I don't give a fuck. Because over time, when you remove yourself from these dynamics and you stand and you speak your truth, it will be revealed. You got to be able to take the hit and let people think you're crazy and let people do what they gonna do, period. But don't sacrifice yourself and your life because you don't have proof that's going to suffice for people that are not involved or not up close and personal, involved on a day-to-day basis, or don't have the capacity to see. You call it and you remove yourself. And then the people that, the other motherfuckers out there that be saying, I prefer shit, whoa. All right, I'm old schooler too, so I can jive with that. But I also know that there's a fine line you have to draw. Because you got some psychotics you're dealing with, you can't approach that shit like that. When you go public, boom, Now they got to figure out a way to navigate through all that. They're going to still try to lie and deny, of course. That's the name of the game. But my whole point is, instead of trying to put yourself in intimate proximity or trying to deal intimately with these people that are hell-bent on being fucked up, you remove yourself. Like, no, I'm done. I've given them all the opportunities they could have for conversations for those that actually wanted healing. So there's no more space or room or time for that at this stage of the game. So now, for any individuals that are saying they want healing, they're going to have to accept that this is on public vigil now. Because they have proven that they are not trustworthy to have an up-close and personal and intimate approach, a more private or delicate approach. They've already proven themselves. The moment you all have attempted to have a conversation with them and they decided to continue to gaslight, to buy more time, to do more spells, to get in your head. So all things with wisdom and all things with balance. I say this constantly because there's exceptions to every rule. But this is why we must know, yes. Because it's easy for a person like myself or any other creator. And I got respect. Respect to me, I'm not saying one way or the other. Respect to people who are on their journeys and speaking their truths and their perspectives and so forth. But as I always say, and I'll continue to say, at the end of the day, it's your life. And everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's on different soul levels, soul journeys, and this is what makes it challenging for humans to get on one page, by the way. But this is why I recommend not even getting entangled even with that. Because at the end of the day, it is your life. It's easy for any of us to sit back behind any computer screen or electronic device or any office and desk and diploma on the wall. It's easy for any of us to do this based on statistics, facts, knowledge, research, whatever, our own personal bents, our own personal experiences, and share. Wonderful, great, fine. But at the end of the day, we're not going to step in your skin and live your life for you or have to deal with the cause and effect of the universe. Cause, effect, choices, decisions, actions, reactions. We all prospectively have to live with that. I was watching one of my favorite shows, The Good Place. And it was this episode, Chidi's character, he was a philosopher of moral ethics before he died. And in the afterlife, he was trying to teach the group and yada yada. And I can't remember the theory, but he was trying to teach them in the classroom in theory, right? Then Michael decided that he wanted to make it a real life experience to see if the theory worked or how Chidi would respond to what if you had to live this out and not just teach it. It was a story about a train, and if it went one path, there was like 3 people, and then it went the other path, there was 1 person, and they had to choose, but somebody was going to die, bitch. And it was something like that. It was about ethics. It was to challenge ethics and to cause you to think about things. And when he was talking about it, it was easy. Okay, because he was just basically, talking about theory, his perspective, what he's come to know, and it was easy to talk about. But then when they put him in this train and this was happening real time, he freaked out because it's like, oh my gosh, like this is not in a classroom. It's like it's happening, and the seconds are counting. You're seeing these two paths and the people. It changes the game, right? Because why? Now you're living in it and you're about to live this out. This is no longer theory. This is no longer a discussion somebody is sitting talking about behind a podium in a classroom, a therapist's office. You finna live this, and you finna live the fucking consequences of what's about to go down. This is happening. Alive in 3D and living color. It changed the whole game. Y'all got to see the episode. Everybody's like, oh my God. Why am I sharing this? Because in all due respect to myself and any person out there who means well, like Chidi, a wonderful philosopher of moral ethics, sincere, he was knowledgeable, and he really is. Okay? But at the end of the day, when you have to live out something, it's not that simple. And when we have to live out the consequences of that, it changes everything. From now it's you to you're standing behind a podium, or you're standing behind a classroom or a chalkboard or whatever perspective medium saying shit to people. This is why, though I know who I am and what I'm here to do, I do understand my soul journey. But more than anything, I'm here to empower. Because at the end of the day, it still is your life. And I don't know everything, nor does any other so-called teacher. Do you hear me? And that in which we do know may be relevant to a degree for you, but maybe not entirely. You see what I'm saying? It's your life. It's easy for folks to tell you what you need to do, but if they had to be you, you see. If we have to go home and live with the decisions and choices in which we telling somebody they ought to make. So take everything with a grain of salt, yo. And you have a right to do that. It don't mean that you don't respect. Listen, even what I'm saying now, it don't mean that I don't respect in the story of with Chidi and as a teacher. It's valid. His teachings are valid. And I know where he was going with all of that. It's supposed to be thought-provoking to see moral dilemma, ethical dilemmas. So it's still valid. It doesn't take away from the validity of who he was or his teachings. It simply implies that when it gets real, it changes the game. I used to say this years ago. Everything is theory. I don't care how smart we are, including myself. Everything is theory until you have to live it. You just got theory. You just got a bunch of factoids and information. But until you have to, in living color, apply and live out and walk out, all you have is just intellect and theory. This is where we fall into, you know what I'm saying, the traps of, they call it spiritual egotism or spiritual arrogance. Because when you have all of that and you're not on a practical day-to-day level having to actually push that energy out of yourself or apply that, then you just got knowledge, man. I respect the greats. I have much respect for the greats, the forerunners, people that are before me, people that, have walked this thing. You know what I'm saying? I got respect, much respect, but I don't idolize them. Not anymore. Because I do understand that all souls' journeys are different. That's the beauty. And that at the end of the day, it's my life. There may be aspects that don't apply. This is why we have to learn how to sift through things. Doesn't discredit everything else. I have readers, teachers, masters that I respect, but I don't necessarily 100% agree with every facet of what they teach, who they are, and it doesn't take away from what I do receive and resonate with. I just know how to sift through, like, okay, well, that does not sit with me, and that could be because that's not my soul's journey, and I don't need to make a big judgment about it. It's like, okay, that's fair enough. But this part right here, though, okay, and it helps me, and it keeps me in neutral, and it keeps me in my own perspective place. Know that you have a right to have authority over your life and your life's decisions. And anyone that's trying to imply differently to you, whether this is passive aggressive, directly or indirectly, caution. All right, I think I'm done with the conversation, but I hope it helps. I hope at least liberates somebody out there to know, like, oh, give yourself a break. Okay, stop exhausting yourself. You're here to be able to heal and transform your life. You're not here to be their saviors. All you can do is show up and be and live your truth. And those who, but you're not here to sacrifice yourself. I'm going to tell you that right now. In the name of hoping to get people to wake up. People will if you allow. We teach each other how to treat each other by what we do, not by what we say. We teach each other. And as long as we live a life of tolerating abuse, we're teaching people that they can do that without a ramification. Rarely are you going to have conversations with abusers that's going to make them magically come out of being abusive because you had a wonderful conversation with them. They're abusers because they're not well. And that's something that is up to them to look at, identify, and deal with if they choose to. Sincerely. Not in the name of keeping people stuck, because abusers are phenomenal at doing that. So the only thing you can do is lovingly what? Right? Give yourself a break. Release. Put up boundaries. Healthy boundaries. In some cases, downright cut off. Okay? Because y'all know what you're dealing with. So you got to apply it according to your own get up. Okay? Some people you do got to all and out cut off. Other people maybe it's just boundary. But it serves us to know the difference. It serves us to know, because if you're dealing with a crazy, it may serve you need to cut them off, because if they hell bent on trying to kill you, you kind of need to know that. I'm just saying, you kind of need to know that so you can know. You heard me. Just think about this. I know it sucks. I know it sucks a little bit. Okay, but better you know the truth so you can liberate yourself than willful blindness and you dead. Shit. for wanting to believe in people that may not even be people. That's another conversation. I know it sucks. Okay? But if we get practical, even with the pain and the disappointment, the tears, the hurt, whatever, if, get practical and you gotta, go here like, look, okay, the motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we were to see this on TV, we would be the main ones. Pretend like our life was a movie, right? Let's pretend. You know how we watch the movies, right? And we be sitting there talking to the TV because we see what's happening. We see what's coming. We see what people are doing. We see what they're planning. And we're talking to TV like, girl, run, girl, what's wrong with you? You tripping. Like, we be screaming at the scary movies or the TV or the drama series or whatever. We be like, oh my God, I don't even know why she tripping. Why? Like, we be sitting here going through all these changes on the TV because we can see from our end, right? What's going to happen, what's inevitable. And we're trying to cheer these people on. Come on, go this way. Don't go over there. You walking right into the trap. You walking right into the trap. We be getting all hyped up, right? If we can manage to give this beautiful advice to ourselves, lovingly, where it applies. Like, okay, they trying to kill you. Okay, hello. How many times? Like, whatever you got to do. Like, if you was watching your own movie, like, what the fuck? Like, this, whoopty whoop. Because I know as far as I'm concerned, like, if I want to equate this to a movie, bitch, look. If I want to equate my life to a movie, then, look, I don't want to be, I want to be the smart person in the movie. Okay? I don't want to be the people that get killed because they don't learn their lessons and shit, or they're not paying attention. I want to be the smart one. Like, not this time. Not in this movie. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be them. Right? So, I'm trying to make it a little light, y'all. But all I'm really saying is just gaining wisdom and applying it, okay? And when you go seek help, fine, but take everything in proper balance and check in with your own heart, no matter who you're listening to. This includes me. This needs to apply to you. It needs to fit, and if it's not fitting, then you shouldn't be made to force it because somebody told you to, right? But care and love yourself enough to know that you deserve healthy. And often we can't get to healthy until we heal and detox a lot of the unhealthy in ourselves, until we heal and detox and start cutting away the things in which we have chosen out of our unhealthiness. Oh, I know that's going to sting for some people. That's going to sting, but it's the truth. It's like anything else. This is when it starts to feel better. We take the splinters out. It may hurt at first to take the splinter out, but boy, I tell you, when you get the splinter out, it does heal and it feels better. There's some relief. Even though the initial removal of the splinter may be painful. But your finger or whatever it is, it gets restored to healthiness. You know what I'm saying? You feel better. The blood flows properly again, bitch. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at shit like that. So yeah, it'd be painful, but it gets you back into health and vitality. Because sometimes all we've known is toxicity and we didn't realize it. That's all we've known. That's all we were conditioned into. So it's all we were ever attracted to. It was why that's all we ever stayed in. And we got brainwashed and brain fucked into the highs of trauma bonding, bitch. And we don't realize how much destruction it has caused until some of us, until our health has declined, until everything has, went a wire and all sorts of shit to show us like, this is fucked up. I don't know who said this is normal, but it ain't. And it's up to us to do that, all right? Know that old Bloomy Bloom and other motherfuckers like old Bloomy Bloom is, man, sending that love and light, asking ancestors, ascended masters, sourcing them, bitch, whoop, you know, whatever you feel comfortable with. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Light, divinity, not program. It's a difference. To really help and support y'all on your perspective journey as you see fit, the way you need it, in the most loving and compassionate way possible for you. Know that you're not on nobody's timetable if you don't want to be. Understand that all that stuff is a program in and of itself. And that there were other factors and dynamics that have created your current situation as it is. And to give yourself a break. Half of the motherfuckers that's pointing their fingers at you and judging you couldn't survive it. So question, why do you even give a fuck about what they got to say or think? Okay? All right. Love y'all. It's going to be all right. We wrapping this year up. You heard me? It's getting good. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. This is why I'm having interesting dreams and certain individuals are showing up. Just watch, collective. Divine ones out there, it's time for y'all to be liberated and free. And whatever is continuing to pose interference to that is just not going to be pretty. Time's up.